Hello guys, today we are going to be answering the grade 12 question paper, which is Economics paper 2, which is in September 2022. So guys, make sure you focus and listen very carefully. So if you want an explanation of answers or a long explanation, you can check down in the description. I've left the link where I explain topics, or you can just check on this YouTube channel. So guys, make sure you focus and listen very carefully, because now we are practicing using the previous question paper, which is from September 2022. So section A, and by the way, I've already practiced the question paper. I already know the question paper, so it's not that challenging to me. It's not like it's something new to me. I've already know the question paper. So Section A, question 1. Various options are provided as possible answers to the following question. Choose the answer and write only the letter A or D next to the question numbers 1.1, 1.1, 1.18 in the answer book, for example. Okay, as you know, it always says this. 1.1.1. In a perfect market, the price of the product will always be equal to. In a perfect market, the price of the product will always be equal to. I think this one you know, guys. Is it marginal cost? Obviously no. Average cost? Obviously no. Total revenue? Doesn't make sense. It's marginal revenue. 1.1.2. A market structure where collusion takes place is oligopoly. We all know this one, oligopoly. Monopolistic, competitive, firm, sell. Monopolistic, competitive, firm, sell. This one, I'm sure your teacher always repeat it most of the time. Always repeat it. It's differentiated products or goods, which is A. And 1.1.2 is actually C. 1.1.1 is actually C. So here is A. 1.1.3. 1.1.4, the costs and benefits to the third party that are not included in the market price are called. The cost and benefits to the third party that are not included in the market price are called. Actually, they are called, most of you will say private cost, but that one is wrong. So because I also would say that for sure. I will say that if I didn't actually study the question paper, I would just say private cost, but it's not private cost. It's externalities, by the way, not externalities. Externalities is D. 1.1.5, an instrument that requires the government to compare options to determine whether to go ahead with a project or not is called A. Whether to go ahead with the project is an instrument that requires the government to compare options to determine whether to go ahead with the project or not is called okay, let me check. The answer is actually here. Not SWOT analysis, as you guys, most of you will say, is actually cost benefit analysis. Keeping inflation between 3% to 6% is called inflation. What is that? It's called inflation what? Keeping inflation between 3% to 6%. It's not measuring. Obviously, if you didn't study, you just say measuring. It's not measuring. It's definitely targeting. If you get this one right, you definitely someone who knows how to memorize. Roads, airports, car parks, essentially for tourist destination, is called infrastructure. It's called infrastructure. Okay, roads, airport, car parks. Roads, airport, car parks. I want you guys to guess this, because even if you are not an economics learner, you definitely know this. Roads. What do we use for roads? Traveling. Airports. What do we use on airports? We travel with the aeroplane. Car parks, we park our cars. Essential for tourist destination is called Is it communication? Is it services? Is it energy? Or is it transport? Definitely it's transport, which is D. It's transport, which is D, as I've said. A significant and sustained change in the normal weather patterns is referred to as a significant and sustained change. The weather changes every time. I'm sure you've heard this on the news. The weather changes of the time every time. What is it? Climate change, which is B. If you got this one wrong, you are in real trouble. I'm just being honest. Guys, because you cannot just get something wrong that is very, very obvious. It's very straightforward that it tells you this is a climate change and you get it wrong, then you are in trouble. So let's go to 1.2. Choose a description from column B that matches an item in column A. Write only the letter A or I next to the question numbers 1.2.1, 1.2.8 in the answer book, for example. So they're gonna give you the answer book anyway in case you didn't know. 1.2.1, competition tribunal. What is competition tribunal? A, is it any strategy undertaken to safeguard the environment to keep it intact? Average variable cost is equal to price. South Africa's World Heritage Site accepts or rejects recommendation and passes judgment. A competition tribunal is accepts and rejects recommendation and passes judgment. I didn't know this one, to be honest, but I went ahead and found the answer. 1.2.2, monopolistic competition, which is the one you should get right, is actually free marks. It has a hybrid structure. Has a hybrid structure. 1.2.3, maximum price. What are we talking about when we talk about maximum price? We talk about results in a shortage of goods in the economy. That's maximum price. Now we're going to 1.2.4, which is shutdown point, which is also the one you should get right. Shutdown point is actually B, average variable cost is equal to price. Average variable cost is equal to price. That's shutdown point. 1.2.5, indexation. I'll skip this one. I'll end with it because it's difficult. 1.2.6, transit tourism. Transit tourism is actually when you talk about tourism, we talk about traveling. So let's look where it makes sense. C, South African's World Heritage Site doesn't make sense. G makes sense, is actually traveling through the country. 1.2.7, Sterkfontein Caves. Okay, this one is actually some sort of a place. As you can see, Sterkfontein Caves. Sterkfontein Caves is some sort of the place of tourists. So it's actually C, which is South Africa's World Heritage Site. Preservation is actually any strategy undertaken to safeguard the environment and keep it intact, which is A. So let me see what we are left with. We are left with H and I. So the last one, the one we skipped, which is indexation, is actually between H and I. Informal agreements on price is actually I. A policy of linking prices of items such as mortgage, bond, interest costs to price indexes. So now we are going to another one. Now. We are fast. 1.3. So actually now you don't even need to study using the question paper because I've already done it for you. So as I've said in the beginning, if you want explanation of topic, you can just check down in the description or check this YouTube channel. I've already explained the topic, so I won't explain it anymore. I don't like explaining things again and wasting time. Give one term for each of the following description. Write only the term next to the question numbers 1.3.1, to 1.3.6 in the answer book. Abbreviation, acronyms, and examples will not be accepted. Okay, let's begin, guys. 1.3.1, a period of production where all inputs are variable. If you study it, you know this one. If you studied, you know this one. But if you didn't study, I won't blame you for not knowing it. But if you study, you know this one. It's actually long term. 1.3.2, a monopoly that is formed because of high starting and maintenance cost. A monopoly that is formed because of high starting and maintenance costs. What is it? There are two different kinds of monopoly. What is it? It's actually natural monopoly. 1.3.3, markets where illegal goods are bought and sold. Obviously, this one, even if you didn't know economics, you actually know this one. It's a black market. 1.3.4, extreme increase in the prices of goods and services of more than 50%. Extreme increase. When goods increase, what do we call it? We call it inflation. So when they increase extremely, what do we call it? We call it hyperinflation. 1.3.5, the kind of tourism where South Africans go to other countries. Let me not say countries, I will say countries. So the kind of tourism where South Africans go to other countries. What is it? So right now we are talking about tourism. What is it? Now we are going outside. We are going to Ghana now to tourism. We are call it outbound tourism. I won't blame you for not knowing this one. I've also went ahead and searched for an answer. I didn't know it. 1.3.6, an international agreement that controls trade of the most hazardous substances. It's Basel Convention. So guys, we are in section B now. Section B. I just needed a break to drink some water. So yeah, I will probably advise you guys that you should also bring water in your exam room so that it could help you to think. You know, when you drink too much water, the brain functions faster. That's biology for you guys. So let's go. It's actually section B. Section B, you have to choose 2 questions. As you all know, answer any 2 of 3 questions. We're gonna stick with the first 2 questions anyway. Question 2, microeconomics. 2.1. I have tried to zoom the question papers as far as I can so that you can see. 2.1, answer the following questions. Name any 2 examples of public goods and services. So actually, if you get this one wrong, you are also in trouble. You are in trouble. In fact, you're gonna find yourself at the risk in getting everything wrong. So as I've said, when you're writing economics, as you're going to be writing economics soon, you better start with an essay. Before you come to section B. You start with an essay, then you go to section A and section B. So name any 2 examples of public goods. What is it, guys? The first one is actually street lighting. Which everyone knows. What's the second one? National defense and lighthouse. You can also add that one. 2.1.2, how is the market price determined in perfectly competitive market? How is the market price determined? So it is determined, the market price is determined by interaction of demand and supply. By interaction of demand and supply. So there's no need to write exactly or to cram this thing. You just have to know what the market price is determined. The interaction of demand and supply. You can even write the combination of demand and supply. The teacher will definitely give you right because the teachers are in rush when they mark the question papers. There are a lot of question papers there. Study the extract below and answer the questions that follow. Oligopoly let me zoom here so that you guys can also you guys can also read. The global market for pharmaceuticals, sorry for the English, operates as an oligopoly due to the nature of the industry and the barriers to entry which exist. Developing a new drug is an extremely complex and expensive task which requires a huge amount of resources. In addition, most drugs have patents, which means that they cannot be replicated and produced by other firms. 2.2.1 Identify a barrier to market entry into an oligopoly from above extract. So, by the way, this video is unedited. I didn't edit this video, so you will find errors where I misspell the words. But if you understand the words, you can correct me above, because you guys are perfect. So me, I'm not perfect. I'm sorry. So let's begin. 2.2.1 Identify the barrier to market entry into an oligopoly from the above extract. So the barrier. So the barrier here is actually a patent, which is actually mentioned here. In addition, most drugs have patents. So yeah, it's actually a patent. But if you're a genius, you can write huge number of resources. 2.2.2 Give one form of non-price competition strategy that oligopolies use. This is actually one mark. It's a free mark, which is you can just say advertising, non-price competition, advertising, and loyalty rewards. Briefly describe the term oligopoly. Oligopoly is a market structure where only a few new large sellers operate, and entry is difficult, and products can be differentiated or homogeneous. That's oligopoly. 2.2.4 Explain interdependence as a characteristic of oligopolistic market. If I were you, I would definitely skip with this one and end with it. But because I've practiced the question paper, let's actually explain it. Oligopoly is a market structure where only that's a term for oligopoly, where only sellers operate. So now we are defining interdependency as a characteristics of oligopolistic market. So it's actually interdependence exists when firms in an oligopoly consider their rivals' reactions while adjusting prices and output. So draw a well-labeled graph of a demand curve of an oligopoly. A well-labeled graph. When I was writing economics in September, back when I was doing matrix, somebody asked me how you draw the oligopoly. I don't know why you guys don't study, because this is very simple. It's a straightforward line. So if you want to know how to draw a oligopoly, you can just check down on a oligopoly graph. By the way, you can just check down on my channel. You can just check on my channel. I've already done this and I've already explained it. So yeah, you're gonna skip 2.2.5. So we are going to 2.3. Study the graph below and answer the questions that follow. You can see the graph below. This is the graph. Okay, yeah, you now see it, guys. You saw it. 2.3.1 Identify the subsidy from the graph above. The subsidy from the graph above. Identify the subsidy from the graph above. The subsidy. Where is the subsidy? In fact, this one is in your notes, guys. Is in your notes. If you studied your notes, you definitely know where is the subsidy, which is in Y and Z. 2.3.2 Give any one example of direct subsidy. Just one example of direct subsidy, which is cash grants. 2.3.3 Briefly describe the term production subsidy. Briefly describe the term production subsidy. A production subsidy is a financial grant or resource given to business by the government to support the production of goods and or services. Exactly as I've said, that's a production subsidy. 2.3.4, why are imperfect markets regarded as an allocative inefficient? Why are imperfect market regarded as an allocative? Okay guys, let's skip this one. I'm going to end with it. I'm just starting with this. 2.3.5, explain the impact of the producer subsidy on the economy. Okay, impact of the producer subsidy on the economy. I will say as short as possible. Explain the impact of the producer subsidy. So it's more goods will be produced. Overall supply of subsidized products will increase. So that's it. That's actually 4 marks. Another one is prices of goods will be lowered and quantity demanded of that good will increase. So 2.4, which is the one you must get it right. This is 3 marks, guys. Merit goods and demerit goods. This is 3 marks. If you get this one wrong, you are in trouble. Distinguish between merit goods and demerit goods. So merit goods are goods that are deemed necessary or beneficial to the society, healthcare and education. They are highly desirable for general welfare, but not mostly highly rated by the market. So that's it. And the other one, I could just say market produces less than the desired quantities, provide inadequate supply. So we are going to demerit goods now. Demerit goods, which the ones many people use, but they are not really good. Goods or services that are regarded as harmful to the society, hence less of them should be consumed, like alcohol and cigarettes. They are highly undesirable for the general welfare of society, but are over-consumed. There is oversupply of demerit goods. 2.5, examine the disadvantages for the existence of the monopolistic competitive market. The disadvantages of the monopolistic competitive market. So the disadvantages of the monopolistic, oh guys, yeah, before I forgot, 2.3.4 is actually a product mix of imperfect markets does not reflect consumers' taste, and therefore resources are not allocated in the right proportion. The quantities required by the consumers are not available. So I went ahead and searched for the answer, because this one difficult, as I always say. So let's go 2.5. I've never really got 100% on economics. You can actually, I don't think anybody can get 100% on economics. You can get maybe over 150, can get maybe 140 if you are a genius, but like 150, you get all the answers right, then that simply means there's something you used to get the answer. Examine the disadvantages for the existence of the monopolistic competitive market. Okay guys, let's begin. Disadvantages for the existence of the monopolistic competitive market is a firm cannot reach optimum production efficiency. Productive inefficiency may increase the resources waste in the industry. The equilibrium price is high, therefore consumers pay high prices. It is impossible for the firms to obtain economic profit in the long run. So that's it. So we are going to question 3, guys. Contemporary economic issues, which is question 3. So guys, make sure you listen very carefully, because I just took a break. I just took a break to relook at the question. I don't know, relook is a real word, but yeah, you understand me. I took a break to relook at the question. and answers and everything here. So I'm ready now to give out the answers. So make sure you participate with me. We are in question 3, guys. Answer the following question. Name any 2 types of pollution. This one is very straightforward. Is air pollution, water pollution. 3.1.2. How can South Africa's weak rand affect inbound tourists from the United States of America? This one only requires your brain. It requires what? Your brain, nothing more. Weak rand is actually inbound tourists from the United States of America will receive more money for their strong US dollar and therefore spend more within South Africa. Okay, study the information below, answer the questions that follow. Okay, rock art in South Africa. Rock art provides important information on the First Nations in the region. It gives insight into the way of life and psych thinking of the first inhabitants of the Southern Africa. Rock art is an indigenous heritage. The rock art in the Ukhahlamba Drakensberg Park is about 3,000 years old. Let's go, guys. 3.2.1. Give one example of indigenous knowledge. Is actually rock paint or rock art, which it already told you that rock art is an indigenous heritage. It already told you, so it's a free mark. What type of World Heritage Site is Ukhahlamba Drakensberg Park? What type of world is environmental? Briefly describe the term indigenous knowledge system. So this is a knowledge developed within indigenous societies independent of and prior to the advent of the modern scientific knowledge and system. So this one, guys, unfortunately, I won't lie, it takes effort to remember these things here. But this one, if I myself was writing the question paper, I could have got it wrong. But because I've searched for an answer and found the answers before I've presented it to you, obviously I got it right. 3.2.4. Explain the purpose of the Welcome campaign as a marketing strategy for tourism. Welcome campaign. Okay. Explain the purpose. Let me check the marks. It's actually 2 marks, so you don't actually have to work hard. Encourage all South Africans to make every tourist feel at home and have unforgettable experience in the country. You got your 2 marks. 3.2.5. How does indigenous knowledge system contribute to local community development? This one actually also needs your brain. So, but you can write it as short as possible. You can say conserving the environment, developing sustainable agriculture, ensuring food security. So that's already 6 marks for you. So you only write 2. So going to 3.3, study the information below, answer the questions that follow. The SARB decreases the repo rates. Okay. The South African Reserve Bank took 25 basis points off the repo rate. This action brought the repo rates down to 3.5%, a full 300 basis points below where it started in 2020. Okay. Write the abbreviation of SARB in full, which is South African Reserve Bank. You surely know this one. 3.3.2. What does the 25 basis point mean? What does 25 basis point mean? It means 0.25%. 3.3.3. Briefly describe the term repo rate. Okay, what is repo rate, guys? Everybody knows this one. What is repo rate? The rate at which the central bank of a country leads money to commercial banks in the event of any shortfall of funds. It is the rate at which the central bank of a country lends actually like borrow, but it's the past tense. Lends money, not lead, by the way, lends money to commercial banks in an event of any shortfall of funds. Okay, how can wage increases affect inflation? The wage increase, how can wage increases in wage lead to an increase in cost of production, which lead to an increase in prices. Therefore, wage increases are source of cost push inflation. 3.3.5, why is the Monetary Policy Committee important to South Africa? In South Africa, why is it important? The monetary policy, why is it important, guys? The work of the Monetary Policy Committee is important because it determines an interest rate that will be consistent with the meeting the inflation target of 3% to 6%. And it also important because it can use an interest rate as an expansionary measure by reducing the repo rate to stimulate the economy. As I've written the answers for you guys in the screen. Discuss the fiscal measures to combat inflation. So yeah, let's begin, guys. Discuss the fiscal measures to combat inflation. Fiscal measures are measures taken by Minister of Finance regarding taxation and expenditure. So now we are discussing. That's the first one. You can also get 2 marks for saying that. An increase in direct taxation, personal income tax, which will help to decrease demand. An increase in indirect taxation, VAT, causes spending to decrease because goods become more expensive. A loan levied reduces the disposable income of consumers. Number 3.5 is how can tourism alleviate poverty in rural areas? Distributing resources to rural areas to develop them as tourist sites. So tourism can alleviate poverty, especially in rural areas, by distributing resources to rural areas to develop them as tourist sites, offering opportunities to diversify sources of income for the poor by allowing the stake in small-scale tourism, empowering rural people to exploit opportunities like on-the-job training and creating partnership with mainstream businesses, promoting locally owned enterprises owned by the poor to serve as a benefit as tourists buy a wide range of goods and services. So yeah, guys, we're almost done. We're on section C now. With aid of well-labeled graph. So I'm going to pick question 6 because it's the one that's difficult. Question 5, you only draw the perfect competition graph, which is something you already know. If you didn't know, you can just check down on my channel or check the description below. I've already left a link for economics topics. You're going to learn everything how you draw the graphs and everything. So I'm going to pick question 6 because it doesn't require graphs. So let's begin. In introduction, question 6. Let's start by reading questions first of all. Let me try and zoom in here so that you guys can see properly. Contemporary economic issues. Discuss in detail government measures to ensure sustainable development. Okay, that's it. Let's begin. Introduction, you can just say environmental sustainability refers to the development that satisfies the current needs of the people without compromising the quality of environment so that it remains equally capable of supporting the future generations. And by the way, guys, here I would just advise you to pick question 5 because it's the one that's easy. Do not make things complicated by picking the ones that's difficult. So the main part, let's begin. Granting property rights. Discuss in detail the government measures to ensure sustainable development. Okay. Property rights are laws that govern how individuals can control, use benefits from the transfer resources. Property rights will have positive conservation effects because they ensure that people take care of the property they own. They will use it profitable for as long as possible, even the generations to come. So that's it here. I will say the last one, to prevent fauna and flora species from the becoming extinct, the government can allow people property rights over them. Okay, so we are going to the another one, pay for environmental use. The government can protect the environment by imposing user fees and charges on individuals who use or damage the environment. Government levies fees for waste produced and dumped in the environment. In South Africa, local authorities levy charges on rubbish collected and sewage disposal. Charges should be proportional to the waste for best results, because a fixed total change will not encourage waste producers to reduce waste. Levy environmental taxes. These are also known as green taxes and eco taxes. Government imposes these taxes on consumptions of good that has a negative impact on the environment and is not for good of the environment, e.g. levy on plastic bags, filament, light bulbs and tires. To achieve a social efficient output, the rate of tax should be equal to the marginal external cost. Okay, I'll go to another one, which is issue marketable permits. The government issues a permit to each film which allows a certain amount of pollution. So this sets standards. Films are allowed to trade the permit to other films that have a larger pollution level. When increasing output, each film can decide whether it is more profitable to buy permits for additional pollution or to alter its technology to produce less pollution using its current permits. Okay, let me say this one, which is education. It is used to try to change people's attitudes towards the environment. Innovative approaches have been tried to developing the world to educate people. Education should include aspects of indigenous knowledge system, because indigenous people have broad knowledge of how to live sustainable. People should be made aware of environmental issues and the consequences of their actions. So additional part, guys, is actually let me read the question again. How does South Africa use conservation to ensure the sustainable environment? So additional part, guys, you can say recognizing, protecting and maintaining traditional knowledge and practice and cultures, using traditional knowledge with approval and involvement of those who possesses the knowledge, establishing and managing efficiently a representative and effective system of protected areas, controlling and preventing introduction of harmful species that threaten the biodiversity, strengthening measures for the conservation of biological diversity outside of natural habitat. So that's it. Conclusion. We conclude by saying the environment is important as a precious resource which needs to be taken care of both the government and individual as a large. So as you can see, guys, this topic is very difficult, which is question 6, contemporary economic issues. It's very difficult, so stick to question 5, where you draw the graphs of perfect competition, because we all know the perfect competition. So guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out other videos where I teach, because this is not a teaching, this is just me answering the question paper, and it's me and you answering the question paper. Make sure you guys subscribe and like the video and share the video so that other learners will get the same information that you got. Subscribe, guys. Subscribe now, subscribe now and forever. Yeah. Peace.